Yes, good day everyone. So today we are going to to create this very simple table. But despite this very simple table, I want us to learn how to use the mirror modifier. Okay, so we're going to use the mirror modifier to create this table. Okay, and see multiple ways we can use the mirror modifier. All right, so mirror modifiers is usually used in symmetrical objects. Okay, so symmetrical objects are objects that the left side is exactly the same as the right side. Okay, so you can't use the mirror modifier where the left side is not exactly as opposite as the right side. Okay, okay, so let's just dive into Blender. So we are in Blender. We're going to delete everything from our scene. So I'll just box select by clicking, then having all the objects in my scene selected. Then I'll just hit delete to delete all of them. Then I'm going to subdivide my outliner like this and create an image editor on one side so that I can reference whatever I'm creating. Okay, then I'll head directly to where my reference is. So this is my reference, this table. I'm going to drag it and drop it on the image editor. Okay, now we have our reference on the screen. Okay, so then we're going to add a cube. We're going to use a cube because the general shape of what we want to create is rectangular. So obviously a cube would work really well for us. Okay, then we're going to start by finding, especially because we want to use the mirror modifier, you have to be conscious about the kind of view or the front side of the object that you want to create. Okay, so for example, if I click this X here, now I have right orthographic. Okay, so this means that we are on the right side, right view. Okay, if I hit Z here, you see this is the top orthographic. Okay, this means that we can see our object from the top. If I hit Y, now we have back orthographic. Okay, but we don't need the back orthographic, we want the front orthographic so that we can be cautious about we can know that this is the front side of our object. So in order to hit the opposite of this back orthographic, I have to click on Y again. Now I'm at the front orthographic. Now this means this is the front side of our image. Okay, so being the front side of our image, and with the fact that we want to use the mirror modifier, we are going to delete one half of this cube, right? uh, Before you use the mirror modifier, you have first to delete an entire half. All right, one half, one side, because if our object is going to be mirrored, then we don't need that other side. Okay, so we'll get into edit mode, then use uh, the loop cut button. You can either click here, or I can hit Control R. So if I hit Control R, I can subdivide my cube. Okay, or I can use this loop cut button and click like that and just have it subdivided once. Okay, then now if I get out of front view, now our object has been subdivided at the center. Okay, so since we're going to use mirror modifier, we've said we're going to delete one side. Okay, and all we need to do is to select these vertices. Okay, and then hit delete or use X So just hit X, then delete vertices. And now we have 1/2 of our cube. Okay, now all we have to do is to hover down till we find on the properties editor there's this part called the modifiers. Okay, so enable the modifiers, then add modifier, then we're going to use generate. Okay, so generate, then mirror modifier. Okay, now our cube seems like it's complete. Okay, but it's just now the mirror modifier doing its work. And now if we delete one, if we move one side, the other side is going to automatically move because we have the modifier in place. Okay, so if I select all these vertices and pull it outwards, the other side is going to happen automatically. And that's how you can save time working on certain symmetrical objects. Okay, all right. So we want to create this table, and also remember that axis, the axis that you're using will really matter a lot. For example, we are using the x axis. This is this red line here symbolizes that we're using the x axis. That's why if we move our object along the x axis, it's going to do the same in the x direction. Okay, if we mirror our object in the y axis, let's say for example if we enable it on the y axis, and then for example let's move this face, it's going to also happen in the y axis. Okay, if we do it on the z axis, let's say move it like this, it's going to mirror our object in the z axis. Okay, but we're not interested with doing that. Okay, we just want to work on the x-axis. So always make sure you are working on a specific axis. Okay, so with our top face selected, we can move it down, then select the bottom face, move it this other side. Something else you should know about the mirror modifier is, for example, if I select this edge and move it, okay, our object will separate. Okay, if I move it inwards, it will bypass to this other side, this right side. Okay, but if I enable this feature here called clipping, if I enable clipping, our object will stick together at the center. Okay, so there's no way to edit the center of our mesh. Okay, so I think it's just good behavior to enable clipping while working with mirror modifier. Okay, so enable clipping, then I will edit my mesh so that it looks the same as my table, something like that. So um, I can decide to see my mesh through different angles. For example, this is the front view. Now this is how my front view looks. If I look from the top, this is our top view. This is how our top view looks. If it's too huge, I can select everything with A for apple, then scale it along y-axis. Make sure that you use a specific axis, and remember that I use the arrows to move. Okay, I'm using the arrows to move. If I want to scale, I use this box. Okay, this box here, just click on it, then drag, and you can scale your mesh. Okay, for example, I want to scale along x-axis. All I need to do is to click on this box, and then our cube will scale. If I want to move it, I use the arrow. If I want to rotate, I'll use the circles. Okay, so the circles are for rotation. Okay, so we've created this top part, and now we want to create this one and the other one, this side ones. So all I can do is to duplicate what we already have with everything selected, or hit A, then Shift D, Shift D to duplicate that mesh, then scale it along y-axis like that, something as easy as this, then reposition it, then push it downwards, scale it down again, scale it along y-axis, then reposition it, something like that. Okay, then now we can again duplicate it with Shift D, then reposition it, something like this. Okay, then we have this other side. Okay, so what we are going to do about this side, since this one has a mirror as a modifier, and if we duplicate it and let's say rotate it along z-axis, something like this, we are going to have problems. Okay, because we have enabled clipping. Okay, that's why we're going to have problems. So what we're going to do, just disable clipping for a bit, then rotate your object like so, and make sure you rotate it 90 degrees, 90 degrees, then reposition it. I can go to the side view, right orthographic view, then reposition it, something like that, then move it around till it's positioned nicely like so. Let's even say just position it well, something like that. Okay, I can see that there's a hole here. um, we can always fill holes. Okay, so for example, I want this place to have a face. All I need to do is to switch to edge mode, then select these edges. So I've hit shift, then I'm clicking around the edges like that, then I can hit F. Okay, F, F stands for fill. Okay, so I've hit F to fill a face. Then we can select the whole of it with L to select. So L, if I press L with my cursor around this object, I'll select the whole connected edges. Okay, if I hit L while my cursor is here, I'll select these connected edges. Okay, if I do it on this other one, I'll select these connected edges, but now I'm interested with this one. Okay, so I'll reposition it like that. I can even scale it outwards just a bit, something like that. Okay, and now we are done creating these parts. Okay, now what we need is the legs. So the legs, we're going to use this existing mesh. Okay, all we're going to do is to Shift D to duplicate, then scale it down again, reposition it, scale it like that. Make sure that it's well positioned, then select this face, then we're going to push it downwards. Okay, remember, since we have mirror modifier, it's happening automatically on this other side. Okay, so we can go back to front view. Now we are in front view. Make sure that our leg is somewhere close to the ground, something like that. Then we're going to select the whole leg with L, then Shift D to duplicate it and reposition it this other side. Okay, just make sure it's positioned well. Now we have a table, but it depends. I think this table is too short. I have a feeling this table is too short. So what I can do in that case is get to front view, then enable x-ray so that all our faces can be seen. Okay, then pull it upwards just a bit, something like this. Now out of x-ray, I think our table looks fine. Okay, now that's how easy it is to create something like a table. Okay, so make sure that you have these assets, because we are going to use the same assets to learn texturing. Okay, and to create materials. Okay, yes, that's it about using the mirror modifier. See you in the next one.